Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the improvisational storytelling podcast. We are here to review a story, and you are here to listen to it. I am, of course, Levi.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
How you guys doing? We are reviewing Psychic Rangers, the sequel to Anarchy of the Future.
Okay.
Are you laughing at the name, Reed?
Yes.
Well, everyone who participates in the podcast is welcome to help me come up with names.
Well, you did. I had two on this particular one, and now you're calling it something else, which is fine. I called it On Our Own to start with. Decided that wasn't good enough, and then The Blind Leading the Blind, which I thought was better. But I think I might like yours. What did you call it? Psych? No.
It's the Psychic
Rangers.
Psychic Rangers.
Okay.
The Teenage Mutant Psychic Rangers.
Teenage Mutant Psychic Rangers. Yes. So this is just the review recap episode, the little rest episode in between stories where we talk about inspirations, where we talk about what we thought went well with the story, and when we talk about what didn't go well with the story. It was instituted a couple of stories ago that we would rate it. So Reed, what's your rating for this story, 1 to 10?
I'm on a 6.
Ooh, over 50%. Very nice. How about you, Seth?
I'm going to also have to go with a 6. Honestly, I think the last time that we did the rating was the first time we did the rating, and trying to be very positive about it. It doesn't mean that I don't like the story that this one piggybacks on, but because it is kind of part of the same thing, I do like this one better, but yeah, I would probably then move the other one to a 5 and this one to a 6, kind of just, we'll probably get it ironed out the more we do stuff and, whatnot.
Absolutely.
But that would be my
my
opinion on it.
Absolutely. I would rate this one probably a really solid 4.5. Only because the villain felt kind of redundant. And that was partially my fault. So I feel like if we're talking about the story now, I feel like there's a lot of themes that we all sort of come back to over and over and over again. And it's a thing I've been trying to be conscious of so as to give our viewers the most diverse group types of stories that exist instead of just writing the same story over and over and over again.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yep, we've done a bunch of these. So
yeah,
it's hard not to repeat ourselves in some ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
I think a while back, what's that?
There's the classic Heroes Quest, where for a while we were doing the Heroes Quest. The Hero's Journey. Is that the classic, the Hero's Journey? It's like a story writing template for how the call to adventure, supernatural aid, the threshold, and then there's the challenges and temptations, and then there's the revelation, and then the transformation, and then the atonement, and then the return back from the unknown into the known. It's I just described The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I just described The Hobbit. I just described Lord of the Rings. I just described Star Wars. I just described a lot of different types of stories. I just described Wheel of Time. I just described Mistborn, to a degree, Mistborn. It's a totally fine way to have the hero's journey, but I also trying to think outside the box and figure out if there's a different way we could do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why I particularly like the Seth through this kind of curve, where Blind Riley reveals that the whole deal is aboard a giant starship en route to the new planetary home. I really like that. I thought that was a good twist.
Right.
I think it fits well with the other one as well, because I think subtle things would indicate that, especially with the AI, but these guys could still kind of alter the reality around them a little bit and interact with the AI. But so I think it was a nice twist that was there from the get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But after that, the last time we recorded, I went and took a look at I was sure I had seen an episode of Star Trek original series that had a theme like that. And there's one in season 3 of Star Trek original series. The name of it is The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. And there was this giant asteroid, hurtling through space that the Enterprise encountered. But it was going sublight. It was traveling sublight, of course. But they were gonna I can't remember what the plot line was, but they kind of cruised in close to kind of check it out. And there was a some missiles fired at the Enterprise, and they were able to dispatch them. So it was kind of a crude self-defense system, and according to Spock said, it appears to be completely automated. And they checked, and there was no there was no sign of life on the surface of this thing, no atmosphere. And then I can't remember, but Spock said that recalibrated the sensors and was able to determine that there were life forms inside this thing. He said, I believe this is hollow, it's a ship. So they did an away team mission, and they beamed inside this thing, and it was like a civilization there. And it was like they were on, ground, land with soil and a sky. But there was this, they encountered a crazy man who said he had gone past the signs that said, venturing past these signs all around was a chain of mountains. Well, it was spherical. So the altitude was going up around the edges, and he had climbed the mountains and touched the sky and realized that they thought was the sky was just the inside of the earth. That's hence the title, The World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. And these people were unlocking the automated control systems. They were traveling from a world on a multi-generational interstellar quest to find a new home, and because of the sublight speed, just to go from one star system to another, takes a long time. So several generations had grown up and died in this, to the point where there wasn't anybody alive that had knowledge that this was just they were just on a ship traveling through space. Anyway, that's what it was. Kind of it was a great storyline, and I just thought it was cool because it was right out of your playbook, Seth.
Well, the thing is, after I think we recorded that one, I thought back, and I don't know which one it is, but I think we've used that twist before.
Yeah, at
with
least
something.
twice.
So I don't think it's like directly new, and I know it's like something that, like you said, in the Star Trek, or it's not necessarily a new twist. It just hit me that it would fit well for what was going on. But yeah.
Did this specific story have any interesting elements of that you thought kind of stood out? I kind of like the whole blind Riley, blind psychic guys who could kind of see through it. I thought that was interesting. I like how they were empaths, so they were really empathetic.
Yeah, kind of a different take on, like, I like the idea of thinking about how that would work with like a Wild West setting with some amounts of technology, but it's, I'm just imagining like, the dry streets and the tumbleweed and like a
Right,
shootout.
yeah.
But is it really a shootout, or is it like a power of the wills kind of thing? I thought, at least in my own mind, like trying to imagine how that would look or be or play out was, I liked it.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea that when two people clash, it's like a fight of the wills. Kind of like with the swords from a couple of stories ago, where like the swords extend your will out, and so that when you're fighting each other, you're also kind of clashing your wills together. So people might sit there for like, they're sitting like holding their guns, but really there's like a war that's waging, and whoever can get a hold of the other person, then they can draw their gun and shoot, and the other guy will just be kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm in love with the sort of Western or post-apocalyptic system with like technology in the background, just how that works.
I also kind of like that the villain was blind in one eye, and he was kind of like wanting to maintain control, but he was kind of a foot in both worlds.
Yeah, that was interesting. The whole thing of like the gods and the AI and stuff. Have either of you guys read the book Snow Crash?
No, you've mentioned it though.
No.
Yeah, it's a really interesting book based on because it's kind of like corporations have grown to such a size that they're kind of bloated, and it centers around the main character's name is Hero Protagonist. First name Hero, Hiro, Protagonist. And it kind of it makes me think of this story because it kind of, how do I say this? It takes all the characters and they all get dialed up to 11.
Yeah.
And they all represent something really crazy and powerful, right? Like there's a guy with a motorcycle, and he has a sidecar on his motorcycle, and the sidecar is a nuclear bomb.
Yikes.
Yeah. And he has a pacemaker, and it's set as a dead man switch.
Oh no.
So if you kill him, you're dead because he always has his motorcycle with him.
Yeah.
So he's like the nuclear option. No, he's allowed to just go into bases and kill people because
You
you're
can't
no
kill
one's
him.
ever authorized to kill him.
Yeah. And if you do try to kill him, even at long range with a sniper rifle, it's probably a one-way trip.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like all the other people you'll be killing as well.
Yeah.
It's stuff like crazy stuff like that I really like, that he represents some sort of overarching idea, and I like that, I really like that. I like how in the Dark Tower books, like Eddie and Jake and Susanna and Roland and Oi, they all and Father Callahan, they all represent like a thought process or like a different way to approach life. And that thought process and that different way to approach life gets worked out throughout the story. I like it. It feels kind of allegorical in the way that it's written,
Yeah. Yes.
And I just personally like that a lot. Like I had a short story idea. I was just thinking about it today on my ride home. I had a short story idea where it would take place in like a gas station on the edge of a desert, like the last gas station on the edge.
Last chance gas.
Yeah. And basically the idea is there's like this writer who's trying to find his muse. There's like all these weird people all sort of converging on this gas station and little kind of diner thing right on the edge. And the proprietor of the gas station is death. And this is it. These people have died, right? And what this thing is it's the picture of like the thing, like before you enter into whatever is past your brain functioning, your whole life flashes before your eyes.
Yeah.
Right. And so just this hodgepodge, this chance meeting of a million different thought processes happening right before you enter into that final place, and death is there. And so to some people he's comforting, and to some people he's scolding, and to some people he helps them along, and to some people he sends them back because they're on the edge of death, but they were in a car crash. So her parents get to go, but this girl, she has to go back, And it's like, it's never quite explicitly stated that is what it is, but it's kind of stated, I personally really like stories like that.
Speaking of last chance, now there's probably several last chances across the country, but in Colorado, there's last chance is a little, maybe it's a township yet. It's like nothing, somewhat south of Denver. And a little bit before you get there, like if you're going south of Denver, it's a little bit southeast of Denver, but anyways, you're going south and there's a sign that says it's like, 40 miles or whatever from last chance, that there are no services for 75 miles.
Ugh.
And then right under that is, the town where my grandparents live, which is not last chance, but it's farther south. And it says 74 miles to that town. Anyways, I always think.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. No, the I don't know where it left off. The thing kind of blipped on the connection for a second. But I think like the idea of like the last chance thing was like maybe they had a gas station, because it's like.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It looks like there's a fire station, a Methodist church. I would say this is a bar. Oh, there's Google Street View.
Yeah, I don't even think most of that stuff is even open. It's just like an intersection.
Yeah,
basically.
There's like a junkyard.
Yeah, because I went through there last year. I had to go down for a funeral, and
it looks like just like
nothing.
A couple of houses.
Like I think a while back it was like a small township, like a lot of things like that are, but then it just people move on, and you can go that 70 miles in less than a tank of gas, and you don't really have to stop, so you don't really need to stop.
Right.
And so then it just kind of dies. And yet, I think that's what it was. Because again, I think what I was saying is, the other town kind of south of that, there's a sign that then technically says there are no services for 75 miles. And then there's a different town, and there are services there, but it says that then that town is 74 miles, but there are no services for 75. Like
so there's nothing in the town to
if you were to look at the road sign, it would indicate that this other little town farther south, another probably 40 miles or whatever, 40, 50
Doesn't
miles
count.
south of Last Chance, that there would be nothing there because like the signs say that there's nothing for 75 miles, but then that next town is 74 miles. But anyways,
Dude. Anything else about the story that you guys liked or thought was interesting?
nothing that pops out right away, but
Would you guys would not consider this one of the greats?
I would say close but not quite. Like I said, I like it better than the one it's a sequel to. I think it makes the other one a little bit better, wrapping it up with like the surprise twist. It fits together well, but I like it, but I wouldn't, like, again, giving it the like 6, I wouldn't put it in the 10. If the other one was a 6, then I might put this one as a 7. But
Cool. Reed, any other last words?
No, I think it was a fun story. I think the two of them together made a really cool story, but it was good.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Wait It Gets Better, our recap episode. If you have any questions about our process, about our story elements, about paying us to write stories for you, just send us an email at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com or at us on Twitter at @getsbettercast. Send us a private DM or public, whatever. I'm happy to answer questions or give you a shout out. Until next time, we will see you guys later. Bye.